Hi everyone, welcome back to Waterhouse Forde. It's been a couple of weeks again since we last published a video, but if you've watched that you will know that the Ferguson is now pretty much done. In fact, it is done. Actually, I've used it for a couple of jobs recently. It's going really well, running very well, very happy with it. So we did a little bit of harrowing with it, just loosening up a field ready for planting or overseeding basically, so that it did very well with that. I also used it to do a bit of spraying on the drive, just to spray some weed killer on the drive, just to keep the weeds down, because they have gone mental this year. And I mentioned in that video, in the last video, that we would be moving on to the John Deere. So that's what this video is about. We're going to do a little bit of a recap on the mower itself. It's been many years actually since I first introduced the John Deere. It then got parked primarily because we were moving to this property, and then of course I really just wanted to focus on the Ferguson and get that done. But now that it's done, that clears the way for this one to take its place again. So I'll do a quick walk around just to kind of refresh our memories on exactly what it is, and more importantly what's wrong with it and what we're going to be doing to it, and then we'll jump straight into it. I actually do have some old footage which I may inject into this video, so you'll notice that some of the background might be a little bit different, but in order to keep it consistent and to be able to tell the whole story, I may well cut some of that content into this video as well. So just so you're aware of that. But yeah, let's get started. I'll bring you closer, and show you a little bit more on the John Deere. Okay, so there it is. It's LT170. It has the shuttle gearbox, so the forward and backward gearbox on the pedals there. Now this is quite an old machine. You'll see that it's got quite a lot of sort of age related wear marks or wearing on it. It's not a bad machine. When it was running, it was working pretty much every weekend, and the previous owners were very happy with it. Unfortunately, it developed basically it blew the sump gasket, so the gasket between the main engine body and the sump, which apparently, now that I've researched it a little bit, turns out is actually quite a common issue with this particular engine that they've got in here. So we started stripping it. Just open up. We did start stripping it and started getting basically getting most of the top covers off the engine. And we were at the stage of basically ready to pull the engine and pull it out, so that we can basically split it and sort out this gasket. Basically the gasket is down here, and I believe it is actually leaking. It's either here or here from memory. Can't remember exactly, but it's definitely on this side. We did a bit of a compression test on it, and I think in the end I was happy that the compression is probably fine on this. It's not brilliant, but it's also not a brand new motor, so I'm actually happy with the compression. So I'm happy to actually just go ahead, change the sump gasket, essentially give this engine a bit of not an overhaul, but a bit of a service, a bit of a tart up, and get it back up and running. The other thing you'll notice is that the cutting deck is not on the machine at the moment, and that is because it is actually, well, first of all I had to remove it in order to get the engine out. I've got to remove the bottom pulley, and but actually the cutting deck is in pretty bad shape. I think it's still repairable, and I may well that'll probably be the second part of this series on this mower. We'll probably move on to that and see what we can do with it. That won't be a perfect repair, but basically just enough to make it serviceable again, and get it so that we can use it. I think that this machine is going to be much better for this property than the little Mountfield that we've got. But yeah, so there it is. So the first job is going to be lifting this motor. Now to do that, I'm actually going to move the machine over a little bit here in the workshop where I've got a block and tackle set up. I probably could lift this myself, but no point doing it when we've got a block and tackle already set up. No point injuring oneself. But yeah, basically that's the machine. You can see, you know, things like the seat, it's not in perfect condition. I have actually seen a video about sort of repairing that. I may have a go at something like that. The other thing you'll notice on the hood, there's a couple of, you know, there's a little bit of damage. Something's knocked a hole in it here. I may have a go at trying to repair that, possibly with fiberglass. And if I remember correctly, yeah, see there's also a bit of a crack here, so we might try and stitch that, plastic stitch it. And then there's a piece missing here. Oh, sorry, there's a piece missing here, which again I might, depending on how confident I'm feeling at the time, I might try and repair that with a bit of fiberglass. But other than that, you know, like I said, the seat's a bit, it's okay, but it's not brilliant. It'll do. You know, age-related marks on here. There's a bit of rust under the paint here. I can feel that. You can actually see it bubbling there. Somewhere over here there was a, yeah, here we go, there's a bit of a ding on the body here, but again, nothing that's going to affect it. The tires are a little bit perished and old, but they seem to, they've been holding air for a good 3 years, so I'm not too worried about them. There's a bit of rust in here as well, so we might take this off, clean that up, and deal with that as well. And really, I just want to get it so that it's usable again, to be honest. I don't know that I'm going to go to town on it. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on it. I really just want to get it running. That's my main objective. So there you go. Let's get into it. Lifting the engine, pulling the engine's not really going to be, I don't think there's a lot of footage, interesting footage on that. I might capture a few steps along the way, but I think really we'll come back when the engine is out and ready to be stripped down. I think that's probably going to be the next. I might use some of the old footage, as I said. That was me stripping the engine and preparing to lift it. So we'll see how we go. So I thought I'd just give you a quick view under the machine. So in order to remove the engine, I need to remove this master pulley. Basically there's a belt right at the top there, and then of course this is the belt for the deck, or the pulley for the deck rather. That belt's already been removed, of course. Now obviously there's a central bolt here, but there is this drive belt. The main drive belt is still in there, and to get that off, what I'm going to have to do is push the brake pedal in and hold it in place, and then remove this idler pulley back here, and that then should produce or allow enough slack on that belt to pull it off this top pulley. You can't, well, I wouldn't want to try and pull the belt off there with it still being under tension essentially. So, but yeah, this is the underside of the machine. You can see it's a really well made machine, you know, compared to the Mountfield, which is got a lot more plastic in it. Pretty much everything under here except for that, those idler pulleys, is metal, which is pretty cool, and yeah, pretty robust metal as well. I doubt they make these machines like this anymore, but this one I pretty impressed with. Also, if you can notice on the back of the transmission there, see a little fan. So as the transmission is rolled, as the machine is moving, it's cooling the transmission as well, which I thought was quite a cool touch. But yeah, that's the underside. So I'm going to get on with that, pull that pulley off, get that belt off, grab this pulley off, and then we'll be able to put the machine down and lift the engine. Just a quick update. I've just made this little bracket that will go, that basically bolts onto the flywheel here. It allows me to put the hook on for the block and tackle. Now that hole, I didn't make that hole. The hole's already in this piece of metal, so you know, don't get confused. That's not to hook it in. The hook will actually sit all the way around there. But I believe that'll be strong enough and should be good enough to help me pull this, and also hopefully keep it relatively balanced. My expectation is that this is the center of gravity of the engine. It's given that that's the center of the bit that ultimately spins. But I did have to just clean up those threads in the flywheel with the tap. It's a 5/16 24 thread, I think it was, but that just quickly ran the tap in, and then these bolts went in, no problem. But it's worth knowing that it's not a metric thread, it's actually an imperial thread. I was a bit confused by that to start with, but there you go. Alright, so I'm going to hook the block and tackle on, and I might film lifting it, why not? You guys can see how it goes. Hopefully it won't be a disaster. Okay, it's lifting the whole mower. We need to check something is still not... Oh, of course I haven't removed the engine mount bolts. I loosened them, but I didn't. I kept them in while I had the mower lifted up so that the engine wouldn't move. Let's just quickly pop those out. Okay, take two. Okay, there we go. So I'll just quickly move the mower out the way, and then I've got a bench that I've got set up here that I'll move in underneath it, lower it down onto the bench, and we can get started with dismantling it. Well, there you go. The engine is out. It's obviously upside down now. I did have to, I forgot that I hadn't drained the oil yet, so I had to quickly drain the oil, but the engine is now out. Now, this is the gasket here that is leaking, just in here, and it is in this region here somewhere if I remember correctly. So basically we've got to take all these bolts out and pop it off, but it's connected, or rather you've got the governor shaft which sits in here, and then you've got this lever, and you've got a connection, I suppose, a wire connection there. You've got a tiny little hair spring there, a large spring there, and a small or sort of medium sized one there. Now what a lot of guys will do is they'll actually remove this arm from the shaft. I'm not going to do that, because getting that set again is actually quite difficult, especially when it's in the mower, right? So what I'm hoping to be able to do is basically remove all the springs, remove this bar, and leave that this arm on the actual shaft. I may not be successful, but that's my plan. But other than that, I believe we can pop this sump off now without removing anything else. I think everything else can stay on the engine, just kind of looking at it. And so this could be a relatively straightforward fix. I believe, I need to double check, but I believe I've got this seal as well. I have a new oil filter, and then I've got a tune-up kit for the engine in general. So yeah, hopefully it won't be too difficult. The only thing I'm not sure of is whether I need to remove these two little screws, or rather bolts, in the center here. So we're going to try to remove all the outer ones, and then just see whether I'm hoping that's holding something inside that comes with it, but I don't actually know that. The oil filter housing is on the sump only, so no need to remove that at this point. Obviously I want to remove the oil filter at some point, but yeah, looks like this should be reasonably straightforward. So I'm going to get on with that. I will try to film some of this. It will probably end up being on a time lapse, but yeah, going to get going. Well, there you go. That was really easy getting that off, but you can see the problem, right? This gasket here is completely blown out. If we look at the equivalent area on the crankcase, you can see it's not even there. There is a little O-ring there, but there inside, I believe, is part of the gasket there, right? So that blew out completely. You can see other bits where the gasket is missing, but if you look at the the equivalent space or area on the crankcase, on the crankcase, you can see that the gasket is left there. But this area here, which is along here, you can see this is where it's blown. I mean, you see all the oil is there. You can see when I took the bolts out, you can see they were covered in oil themselves as well. So yeah, not good. Now, a couple of things immediately come to that I notice. One, quite a lot of gunk in the bottom of the crankcase there. Not unusual, just a little bit of metal filings, bit of gasket there again, but nothing too concerning there. The bit that's concerning me is, look at that conrod cap bolt. That is loose, right? It's not in properly. It's actually finger tight, so I can loosen it with my fingers. So that's an issue that we're going to have to take a look at. That bearing cap is loose, it's bouncing around in the air there, so that's a bit of a concern. The other three look fine, but that one's definitely not right, so we're going to have to unfortunately take that cap off, take a look at that bearing and see what's going on there. I noticed when I was draining the oil there was quite a lot of sludge in the oil, and there you can see some of it there. It's probably mostly because the engine's been standing for such a long time. You do naturally get a bit of sludge forming in oil, especially if it's standing. But yeah, this is going to need a good flush just to get it cleaned out a bit. But yeah, otherwise, so far, not a lot to talk about. Again, just a bit of sludge. It's very, very fine metal filings. Nothing. It's no more than you might expect in an engine that's been running for a while, and I believe this engine is quite old, right? Let's be honest. So not untoward, but that amazes me. I can't believe that that's actually stayed like that all this time and not actually come out and created or caused a lot more damage. One does wonder how long it's been like that, but anyway, yeah, otherwise so far it looks good. I think leaving all the springs and stuff on this lever arm, and in particular not removing that lever, I think that's going to be a good outcome. I hope so. We'll have to see. We'll have to remove them just to do some cleaning because they'll probably fall off anyway, but I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to not mess with the governor. So yeah, that's the observations for now. Now going to make a start. Well, I'm going to get this cap off and let's see what we can see with that. So just having another little look around, this crankcase is going to have to be flushed out. There's quite a lot of gunk in there. Obviously this is going to have to be as well. There is an oil screen here which I don't know if you can see that, but there's an oil screen down there which I'll take that out and get that cleaned up as well. I think what I need to do, just to get myself in the right place, I'm going to stand this up and then turn it so that, and get the timing marks lined up so that I know where I am. There's a little pop on this gear here and on there. I'll get those lined up, but also I need to turn it in order to get to these big end caps. And yeah, so. But to do that, at the moment it's resting on the flywheel underneath, so it's not going to turn. I need to take the spark plugs out so we're not fighting compression, and then what I'll do is I'll stand it on its base, turn it, get it to where I need it, and then flip it back again. This, I think, I'm going to take this off to one side. I'll get that cleaned up separately. I'll work on that separately, get the gasket material off, get it off here, etc, etc. But the main thing is getting this all nicely cleaned up, which I probably will want to do with a bit of diesel, I think, just to get it flushed. But yeah, anyway, so that's kind of where we are, just with a little bit more of a look. I've taken that O-ring out just so that I don't lose it. I'm going to have to measure that and make sure that I've got one of those. Make sure that this guard pin is not going to come out. Doesn't look like it. That seems to be nicely pressed in, so that's good. But yeah, so I think let's get on with that. So we'll move this off to one side for now. There we go. That'll be good for flushing it as well. Okay, right, I'll get these spark plugs out quickly. Spark plugs are not bad. They've got a nice marshmallow type of tint to them, so it is firing quite nicely. Or was. Right, now let's try and... I'm going to bring you around this side so you can see the timing marks. Hopefully you can see them now. There's a timing mark there and one there. So I'm going to turn this until those line up. And that should mean we're at top dead center, at least on one of them. There we go. So that's top dead center now. But I can't get to those cap bolts, so that's going to be a problem. So it looks like we're going to have to do this in stages. So I need to find the position where I can yeah, that's the main one that I need to deal with, so we'll leave it there for now. And actually I think, let me rather flush it first while I've got it in the basin, and then we can take it out and do what we need to do. So let me get set up for that. Okay, so I just got a bit of red diesel in this pressure bottle, and I'm just going to flush it as best I can. Just want to get as much of that gunk out as we possibly can. Diesel's pretty good. It's got a lot of detergents in it. So it does tend to clean quite well, and mostly it's just obviously the detergent helps, but also just a bit of movement. The other great thing about using diesel is that it's a bit of a lubricant in itself, and of course if you use something like brake cleaner or something like that, some sort of solvent, then you would end up with all your components being completely dry, which you don't necessarily want, because of course we want them to be slightly lubricated. Now when we actually put this back together, we'll put a bit of extra lubrication in anyway, but yeah, anyway, so diesel works really well. You can see, well, hopefully you can see that's cleaned out really well. I'm actually really happy with that. I think we've got most of it. Can't always get into every little crevice, but I think that's done a pretty good job, so happy with that. So yeah, I'm going to get this out of the bath and get it laid back down again. We'll have a look at that bearing and see where we're going to go from there. Right, so these look like a size 10. Yeah. So I'm going to just loosen this. Actually they're both loose, look at that, unbelievable. I'm going to have to find out what the torque spec is for these eventually, and get them torqued up. I better check the other one now as well. And the threads on that look okay. I was wondering if the threads had stripped or something. Also looks okay. Okay, so that bearing is gone completely. You can see, hopefully here you can see how it's gone right through the white metal. There is no way we can run that. Unbelievable. And that means, unfortunately, that means that the crankcase, the crankshaft journal might be. It actually doesn't feel that bad, to be honest. It's not smooth, it's got grooves in it, but it's not horrendous, as in it's not heavily damaged. I think a polish would probably sort that out. Right, let's check this other one. Okay, so they feel taut and there is no movement there. Gonna try and push this piston up and have a look at the bearing on that side. I don't want it to go too far. That's interesting. That piston doesn't. Well, actually, I can't get a good leverage on it to push it. There we go. Yeah, that bearing is, as you'd imagine, is also very bad. So I think I'm going to take this other one off regardless and have a look at that one. Those are very tight, ironically. It's not really fitting on properly. Let me get a socket rather. Okay, now that bearing looks a whole lot better. It looks absolutely fine. Yeah, and the crankshaft journal is really good. So, literally whoever worked on this engine last, they just didn't torque that cap on properly, and it's been chattering around all this time and basically destroyed the bearing. And that one is absolutely fine. I can still see the machining marks on it, which is fantastic. So for now I'm going to put that back so I know which way around it went, because these have to go one way. They're I believe they're probably a mated pair. I won't talk or tighten them just yet. Oop. But just to keep that protected and to keep it in place while I work out what I'm going to do with this other one. So I'm going to need to research what parts are available for this engine in terms of bearings. This is not, it's not like it doesn't have a cap or a wafer bearing. This is the bearing basically. So I think you have to buy the cap and the conrod as a mated pair, which probably means replacing the piston as well. I'll have to check. But more importantly, I'm a bit concerned about this crankshaft. The crankshaft journal is not heavily scored, and I can't catch my fingernail on it, but it does have scars, if you imagine what I mean. It might be okay with new bearings. It wouldn't be perfect, but I'll need to check whether one can get oversized bearings. Oversized bearings, so to undersize the crankshaft, in other words, send it and have it polished, and then maybe just a polish will do, and standard bearings will work, but I'd need to have it marked to find out. It depends on the tolerances available. So yeah, quite a bit of research required now to work out what we're going to do about that, and work out what's next for this engine. I wasn't expecting to have to do quite as much work on this, but it is what it is. You deal with what you find, I suppose. So okay, that's it for this one. I think we'll leave the video there. I need to go and work out what the next steps are, work out what's available. Hopefully I can buy the parts that we need. So I'll update you on the next video. So thanks for watching. Hope that was interesting and informative to some of you, even maybe just a little bit entertaining. Either way, hope you all have a great week, and see you on the next video. Cheers for now.